Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. Welcome back to another episode of Back to Basics. I'm your host, Abdul Saeed, and we have with us again in the studio today our wonderful guest, Dr. Mamdouh Muhammad. Dr. Mamdouh, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for allowing me to participate in your beautiful episodes.
The pleasure is ours. For those of you who don't know, Dr. Mamdouh Muhammad is a former professor at Johns Hopkins University. He is the current director for Arrow for Consulting and Training. He has worked in several universities across the globe, as well as traveled extensively, lecturing as far east as Indonesia and as far west as the United States of America, delivering lectures related to education and also da'wah to Islam. Dr. Mamdouh, in a previous episode, we had discussed the need for updating methodology of teachers, how to change our outlook, how training can make all the difference in the world. I'd like this episode for us to get into the idea of how to change the school administrations themselves, how to benefit the administrations, because they also need some kind of oversight, because they also need upgrading, they also need training themselves in order for it to kind of, if you want, for example, like the pyramid, it has to start from the top and trickle down. So you have to have, the administration has to be willing to change and improve themselves, and then the teachers can improve themselves, and then the students can improve themselves, and inshallah the next generations will be better and better, inshallah. So how can we apply this, and what are the needs, or what are the modern ways in which we can inspect schools today in order for them to improve?
Okay. Thank you for raising this point, because now we are moving a bit smoothly from the issue of training to a new issue, which is inspection. We've heard about inspection long ago, and it had been going on in different places, different countries, using different methods. In the past, this was the mainstream, that the government or the Ministry of Education would send to school some people who are specialized. Sometimes, usually, it was individuals. This individual, whatever you call him evaluator or call him inspector, call him a person who provides guidance to the school, and he would do everything. He would do some sort of inspection and making quick evaluation, and then give some feedback to the whole school, including the leadership of the school, including the teachers, including the curricula designers, including everyone.
So he was sort of a jack of all trades.
Absolutely. It was a jack of all trades. It was not well focused. Let alone this, there was a concept of conflict of interest.
Okay. How so?
Yeah. Conflict of interest. When I give the evaluation, when I diagnose this and this and this and this and this, I may not be so specialized in giving the solutions. I can diagnose, like the person who works in an X-ray room. He makes the X-ray and he gives you clear diagnosis, but not necessarily he is the one who would give you the medicine. You need another one.
He specializes in that.
Specialized in that. You cannot find such a caliber of person who can do this, who can give you some guidance in mathematics and give some guidance in science and some guidance in teaching of Arabic and sometimes some guidance in teach. This is jack of all trades. We don't know that this person exists.
Well, it's like they say, jack of all trades, master of none.
Absolutely.
So he's not necessarily efficient enough in all of the different trades to be capable of doing all that work by himself.
Many countries have overcome this weak point, and they started getting specialized people, one in curricula, one in teaching methodology, one in leadership, one in training, and they would get this together to go as a team. To go as a team and evaluate schools and take the opinion of each other and come up with a wonderful report that would really help the school.
Well, it's like,
Yet, it's not them who do the training, who say that you need, they just tell people, they diagnose and say that you need to change this, you need to add this, you need to delete this, you need to intensify this, but they don't do the job. They leave it for other group people who are in the field of school improvement or training.
This is not something strange, obviously. Any field really has its experts.
Lots of.
You don't have a school where one teacher is the math teacher, science teacher, English teacher, Arabic teacher, and so on. Even in the sciences of Islam, it's very rare to find a scholar of such a high caliber who has a great understanding of all the different sciences, as far as from hadith and tafsir and Arabic and so on.
The world is becoming very complex. It's
Yeah.
very, nobody can do everything by himself. That's why there is a need for teamwork.
So did it take a long time, would you say, for the evolution of the industry of inspection
Yeah.
to evolve from a single inspector at each school to a group that organizes it? Did
It
that take a
depends
while?
on countries, and until now, some countries, they don't have group inspection.
They still have, some countries don't have any inspection.
There's definitely need for that.
Okay.
Just the area of special needs.
Yeah.
Students are with special needs now, they need more specialized teachers, and definitely if we need more specialized teachers, that means we need more specialized inspectors to
Yeah.
do the good job. Yeah, and it goes from the inspectors to the trainers to the teachers to the students.
Like we said in a previous episode, it really is, in terms of education and cultivating the next generations, it really has to be a group effort. We can't rely on just the teachers, just the administration, just everybody has to work together
Yes.
if we really want to improve the situation of our education in any country.
As you mentioned in the introduction, even the principals, the top of them,
Yeah.
they need to be updated of what's going on around them.
Yeah.
I work in a specific country and I don't know what's happening in other countries. That's why attending not only training, by attending conferences to see what's going on. As I mentioned in one of the episodes that in the past we used to look at Europe and at America to see the progress and the changes that they made.
Yeah.
Now the results of some exams, international exams in the world, try to change the direction of the people who look and evaluate education
Yeah.
from the west to the east now. Now they look at Singapore, Korea, and Japan, Korea to the east.
Yeah.
In
To Far
and
Eastern
they're
countries.
Far East countries, and there's a lot of positive things that are happening there.
Yeah.
Lots of new methods. I would say new methods apply to everywhere in the world, because when we train the teachers to be creative, they all the time create and invent and explore new methods of teaching. And we need to do the same thing with the principals of the school, because the culture of learning,
Yeah.
it should begin from the leadership.
Well, some
And-
problems is that some schools, they run the leadership like it's a business. You know, the principal is not so much involved in the education and the curriculum, so much as just making sure the school is running on a business level. Especially for private schools, this is more true.
Yeah, I think they need to be updated anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, to see, because the change usually, the
Starts
one
at the
who
top.
makes the change is the leader, the leadership. When we say leadership, even, we don't mean just the principal. We mean the principal and his staff.
Yeah, the
Yes,
vice
the
principal,
middle
the
managers.
heads of the departments, so on.
Absolutely, they work as a team.
Yeah.
And if if they succeed to have a culture, a learning culture within them, this can be disseminated to the rest of the employees in the school.
Okay, and going back to the main topic, which is basically that beyond the principal, it has to start with the inspectors. And the inspectors have to start with the Ministry of Education. So the Ministry of Education really has to reform itself in some countries to see the importance of having proper and modern inspection teams involved in modifying and helping schools to
No
overcome
doubt.
old methods.
If we go to the main reason for this is that you want to improve. Okay,
So that intention has to be there. You don't
Oh,
just
yeah.
want to keep getting by. You want to see a better generation.
by the way, we want to build up this spirit in every human being.
Yeah.
Because you need to change in every aspect of life. You need particular engineers try to imagine that the engineers now, they think of issues that engineers 20 years ago they never thought of.
They never imagined, yeah.
Some university professors or university rectors used to say this famous statement that now we prepare the students in the university for jobs that we don't know the name of these jobs.
Yeah.
Because there is a change, a very quick change in the world in every aspect, particularly in industry and in the field of in corporations and management. There are many things that are new almost every day.
Yeah.
So when you are preparing the students now, you should focus on the skills that they need for the future,
Yeah.
not for now. Because for now, until they graduate after 3 or 4 years, there's change even in the name and the nature of their jobs.
So essentially, there's some basic, like we were talking about, you're saying they're looking towards North Korea, not North Korea, they're looking towards Korea in general, they're looking to Singapore, they're looking to the East for new methodologies. It's not necessarily what specific methodologies is using, it's just the general ideas of becoming open-minded in how you teach, becoming inclusive, working with your students.
Working with a team.
Working with a team. These type of general ideas don't differ from country to country, from culture to culture. They're things that we can apply across the fence or across the board.
And this also activated another concept is if whatever training you're giving the students now does not help a lot for in the future.
Exactly. So the specifics aren't what matters.
Yes, the schools themselves, from the Ministry of Education, from any ministry, right? That they should have this kind of training because there are new skills that people need and they should be provided to the teachers or whoever is going to work in any field.
Yeah. Okay, so then it's not a matter of just teaching the students, even if you're including them, you're using all the modern methods that you can apply, right? We'll go back to the main topic in a minute.
Yeah.
It's also a matter of giving them the tools to improve themselves in the future, because by the time they, like you said, by the time they graduate from university, those methodologies, those ideas that they learned are not necessarily applicable. So they have to.
They may not be applicable.
Yeah, so
some of them may be applicable.
They may not be applicable. So they have to have the foundations to be able to modify and work.
That's why we need to put a system, a flexible system in any area to allow that these kinds of inspection and these kinds of training to happen in a specific organization to guarantee that innovation, right, would happen in every field in order to keep up with the new changes that's happening so quickly around us.
Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, we'll get back to that topic, but just after the break. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back to the program, Back to Basics. We have with us in the studio our guest, Dr. Mamdouh Muhammad. Dr. Mamdouh, welcome back.
Welcome back again.
The topic that we were discussing just before the break was the need for modern ways of inspecting schools to adapt and change the way we think about things. Can it be said that some of the scholars or the Islamic scholars of the past, they adapted based on the context of which country they were in or who they were talking to or who they were giving fatwa to? Or were they rigid and strict with only one way?
They cannot be rigid because there is a change, and the situation in the past or in a specific country change it from one country to another. The element of time is very important. There is nothing stable and rigid in the whole world, right? It changes because different human beings and different events are happening. There are many things that would force anyone to change.
Obviously, we're referring to issues of ijtihad, issues of
course,
independent things. Issues that are clear from the Quran and Sunnah, obviously, they don't change.
Absolutely. They are thawabit all the time. Yes. They don't change.
Just making it clear
for
our audience.
The issue of ibadah, the issue of, these are issues of aqeedah, but they're issues of ijtihad because some of them were modified when they happened at the time, at the previous generation, but now they are different. Let's say that the distance that you were supposed to, when you hear the adhan, right, you go to the mosque. Now, because of the advancement of technology,
you can hear it from miles away.
You can hear from miles away, yet you cannot go because of the traffic, right? So this is ensure that it's changeable, right, because of the change of the situation. And perhaps you were talking about also some scholars changed their fatwas from one country into another, when they moved from one place into other, because the whole context is changing. The same thing applies. But here, some of the countries really, really don't pay attention to the research issues. Nowadays, we need to make our teachers as researchers. It's not enough.
What does
to
that
be-
mean, make our teachers
What
researchers?
does it mean? A teacher who does not research, a teacher who does not read the results of research, he's missing a lot. If you don't read about a new method that's happening here and there, for example, in some countries in the Far East,
Yeah.
what they do that they cut the amount of periods that the teacher teach, and they use the rest of the time to make classroom ongoing research.
Really?
So the teacher would be involved in making research to solve some problems that he or she encounters in the class.
Okay.
So he's a kind of researcher. He makes research. At the same time, reading the results of research. Every minute, every hour, you find a research is coming from this country, another research is coming from this country, and you are a teacher in the classroom. You put yourself in the box, and you don't go out of the box, so you don't see what's going on there. Now with some little research on the internet,
Yeah.
you can see an area. For example, I'll tell you something,
Okay.
that there is a research that tells us what is the best time that you take the attendance during teaching a class. Is it the beginning? Is it the middle? Is it at the end? And how do you take it?
Okay.
You find every person is using his own experience. But
Yeah.
when you read the research that tells you that it should be taken, let's say, this is the best time, according to that research,
Yeah.
after 10 to 15 minutes, and the condition is that the students should be involved in a task. So they are busy and the teacher is taking the attendance. In the past, I remember when I was a student at school, the way that
Right at the beginning.
very beginning, they would say that
So you're not hooking your students or attracting your students
distracting
right from the
them,
get-go.
they-
Right when you
absolutely.
start, you're Ahmed, Hamad, and you just,
Even you don't need to mention
oh, you don't
the
have to say it.
name.
You're just keeping
Yeah,
them
you're just keeping them
bland. They're not doing
keeping
anything
it
yet.
working. In the past, you say, you mention the name of the student and said, yes, I am present.
Yeah.
And the other one, is the students say that absent, and then the teacher starts asking questions. Why is he absent? I told him last time. Somebody would say, one of the students said, I saw his father taking him to the hospital. Which hospital? It's a long story
Yeah.
about each one. I mean, it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is something, if you don't see the results of the research, somebody did a good research and studied this case across many schools and give it to you as a gift.
Yeah.
So we need to see these gifts. That's why a new teacher, one quality of new teachers, that they are researchers. And I think you can imagine what will happen in a country that everybody does some sort of research.
Yeah.
Of course, the country will progress very quickly, and this is something that we hope that Ministry of Education in every country would look into this issue and would see the changes and would see and would study why other countries have improved. For example, the issue of the Gulf area in the Middle East, for example.
Yeah.
These countries now are getting very well along with the education. They are doing their best. They are using new methods of inspection,
Yeah.
and the results come, alhamdulillah, they are doing fine. So we need to cultivate this culture of inspecting through new methods, not the old method that the inspector is the jack of all trades and master of none.
Well, one thing I found interesting when I was researching some of the methodologies that they apply for teaching students across the world, I found that in Japan, many schools apply where up to grade 3, there's not a single exam, and the classroom consists of
Up to grade
manners,
5 now.
manners and characters, and every student's responsible for putting their shoes away and cleaning the area, and they're really training the students from a young age to be
fit into
respectful,
the society.
to fit into the society.
Yeah.
And I think this is just as important as just gathering knowledge. I find
It
some
is.
societies, they just focus on gathering knowledge and even to a larger extent just memorizing knowledge and not really understanding it.
Absolutely. There's something that, a new trend, right, which is very essential. And that's why you find these countries are very safe to drive and are very, because of all these things that they integrate.
And that's the key. That's the key of education, is to improve society.
course.
not just for working.
Absolutely, you're right.
Okay, so then how can inspectors apply these methodologies across the board when the Ministry of Education doesn't give them the tools? Should we privatize it?
Yet still, yeah,
We can privatize it, right?
yes.
Okay.
Inspectors do these jobs and say what is missing here, what is missing here. For example, they would say that in their reports there are no links in the subject, in teaching the subject matter with the society,
Yeah.
with the environment around them. These are the examples that you mentioned. That means they need to look at their curriculum
Yeah.
and how to integrate these links so that, yes, the school would work on them and the quality of the graduates, the quality of the students would be much better than before. And I mean here, those students, whenever they graduate at any level, they can help the society to improve.
Okay, so say I'm a student at a school, or I have a student, one of my children's at a school, and I find that they're outdated, they're not applying modern methods, they're not engaging the students enough. I've approached the administration, they're old school, they don't have any mentality for these changes. Can I approach a private firm that deals with consulting and deals with inspection of schools and get them to engage the school? Is that feasible?
I think there should be some policies for that. But what happens is you can talk to the inspectors. When the inspectors comes to you,
Yeah.
one part of what that they do, that they meet with the students, they meet with the parents, so the students can share these ideas with the inspectors, and the inspectors usually involve this in the reports.
Yeah.
So in this way it becomes very clear to the school that students complain and they say that you don't involve new methods, you don't make a lot of changes, that it becomes...
You're not relevant to what we need to learn today. Yeah.
Yes, some subjects are not relevant.
Yeah.
Yes, until now, for example, there are many things in the curriculum you find that really they are irrelevant now. And you
Or
can-
even if they're not relevant, even if they are relevant, they're not being
They're not
taught in
effectively
a way
taught.
that's effectively
Yes.
teaching us how to relate to it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So, of course, and also the inspectors meet with parents, meet with the leadership,
Yeah.
meet with the teachers, and in this meet with the heads of departments, sometimes individually, sometimes collectively, and in this way they get very clear idea of what are the merits and demerits of that school, and they write a very well
Documented report.
detailed document, and it benefits the school a lot, and it helped many schools.
But the school
to
still
improve.
has to have that spirit where they want that.
This is the first.
And the problem is if they don't, then the real solution is just find another school for your children.
No, the problem is if this happens, and by the way, in some countries they publish the results of the inspection.
So then you can see which schools are rated. Yeah.
Everybody- Yes. So now, this year, my students are in school X, and if I see the reports saying that all these negative things about the school, so definitely I will move my child from this school to another school
Yeah.
that provides high quality of education, because the final end is that I want my children to get the best kind of education.
Yeah.
I would not, it's not important. The name of the school is not important for me.
No.
The important thing is the quality of their education.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. So I will take definitely my student from here and put them there, and this school is going to suffer after a few years.
So the culture has to grow around that. It has to
Yeah.
be a culture
Yes.
where people are basically monitoring the school, the process,
Yes.
the progress of those schools, the quality of those schools. And if this doesn't exist at a higher level from the Ministry of Education, then parents can gather in groups and they can start to
We
demand
have
this.
the PTA.
They can make
We
beyond the
have the
PTA, because the PTA still relies on the school itself being involved.
Yeah, and
if parents don't have
you said that if the school itself adopts the culture of teaching and the culture of changing, the culture of talking, it will improve.
Well, of course, if the school adopts it, if anybody at the higher levels adopt it, it's always preferable. What I'm saying is if at the lower level, nobody's adopted it at the higher levels. So the lower level is the teachers or the parents or the students, for example. So the parents can gather, they can make forums, especially online, they can make Facebook pages and so on, and they can basically say, look, we're tired of the way our children are being taught, we're going to gather information, we're going to basically hire a team to investigate these schools and to analyze and to inspect these schools, and we're going to see what's the best result for our children.
Not only that,
Parents
but
can
they
do this.
can suggest
Yeah.
that it should be good in inspections. There should be some companies to come to accredit the schools,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth.
So parents can do something then, even
yeah.
if they're not.
Yeah.
But obviously, for argument's sake, it is preferable if it does come from higher up, because it works better. Like we said, everybody should be involved and everybody should have that intention to improve.
Yes. The more we are involved, the more we are engaged, as the teacher succeeds to engage students in the class,
Yeah.
the school itself should succeed in engaging the parents to be involved in decision-making process.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan. And apart from that, anything else regarding inspection in countries, let's say in countries where school has almost become a privatized industry, so it's no longer in the hands of the Ministry of Education except at a basic level. And schools already, because a private school, obviously they're responsible for their own budget, they don't have any assistance from the government. So they're running on well, not low fuel, but they're running on the money that they get. So they don't have the means to basically hire a whole team to inspect them and to accredit them.
Unless
What should
people
they do?
are specialized, money would not be the main issue. There are
Okay.
other things as well. Yeah, but that's why there's a new trend in the world, and some countries in particular, that many students are leaving public schools into private schools
Yeah.
because of the quality of education.
So then, going back to my question, then what if a private school? You said money is not an issue, but to get these
Money
teams involved,
is part of the
it's
issue,
part of
but-
the issue. It's not the
but
main
private
issue.
schools take money from the
The students, but they also have to pay salaries. They have to pay maintenance.
of
They have to
course.
pay the building
But they are
costs.
still in a better situation than most of the public schools.
I would say that depends on the country. I know that in many Western countries, public schools are generally better off than private schools because they have assistance from the government, whereas private schools depend completely on their own income.
Yet, public schools don't have the option or the luxury
Of
of
choosing
selecting
the inspectors.
not only the inspectors, selecting the teachers.
Mm.
These teachers, the best teachers usually joined private schools because they are well paid there. So that the private schools has the choice of selecting this one or this one, whereas public schools, this is not the case.
Okay, but a private school that employs X amount of teachers, they have to pay higher salaries. That means their costs are higher.
They wouldn't pay high salaries unless they have enough income, and usually they have enough income from the students.
Okay, so we're talking about higher-end private schools.
Yes, private, but
Because there are many private
I'm
schools
talking
that are
about
lower budget.
private schools. When I compare, those two are private schools, but I'm selecting the one that applies and implements more new and effective methods,
yeah.
and the quality of the graduates. You can see this when you compare. You make benchmarking, and you know that this school, the graduates of SAT, who took the exam SAT or any other international exam,
Yeah.
the IGCSE,
Yeah.
and the quality of and this is published information,
Right.
that many students from this school graduated with this level. So definitely, the quality of education is given to them is much better than the quality of education is given to another school. So here, I pick and choose because I use my money.
Yeah.
I just don't pay my money to a school that doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.